What's going on, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. Let's talk Jermell Charlo, Tszyu, Canelo Alvarez, Carlos Ocampo real quick. Jermell Charlo, he's still out from his injury, okay? And he is undisputed at 154 still. He comes back. He beat Brian Castano in the rematch, right? Knocking him out. And Tszyu is next up. Tszyu is his next mandatory. And Tszyu has been active. Tszyu went on to fight Tony Harrison, right? Stopped him. Looked very good against Tony. Beat Tony better than anyone else has ever beaten him. He did not only outbox him, but he stopped him. He outworked him. He did everything better than Tony, in my opinion, in that fight. And Tszyu is going on to fight Carlos Ocampo in a month. He's choosing to stay active while Jermell is inactive. Good for him. But we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's talk about Jermell Charlo calling out Canelo Alvarez. Now, the reason why I'm only bringing this up because it seems like some people have a problem with this. I know Jermell seemed to be drunk in the interview he did and him calling out Canelo Alvarez. Canelo had just fought John Ryder. Wasn't his most impressive performance. Obviously, we've seen him look better in other fights. He didn't look that great in the later rounds in the Ryder fight. He didn't look great in the later rounds in the Triple G fight, the third fight. And obviously, he lost to Bivol. So Canelo has had it rough lately. He hasn't looked that good. And I think he is just starting to get past his prime a little bit. But I still believe that he is a pound-for-pound fighter. With that being said, Jermell Charlo calls him out. People have a problem with it, and I don't understand why. Because if Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing, like many people believe, right? Like I believe that he's still the face of boxing. Regardless of Tank and Ryan's numbers, regardless of Canelo and Ryder's numbers, I think no fighter does well on the pay-per-view numbers unless they have a dance partner that people are interested in. And John Ryder wasn't that guy. So I'm sure the Canelo, I saw $250,000 or 2,000 pay-per-view buys. That's the number I'm seeing. That's the number that I predicted. I think I was around on the video. I said 200,000 pay-per-view buys, 250 tops. That's where I was going. In my prediction in the videos, the couple of lives that I did. Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing consistently. Tank had pulled the best numbers recently. All right. But throughout his career, he hasn't pulled an average like Canelo has. But it may be changing, and I think Tank is possibly, and Ryan may possibly be the next two faces of boxing. Okay? But for right now, I'm thinking Canelo. I'm thinking Joshua. I'm thinking probably Wilder and Fury after that. With that being said, if Canelo is that guy, why do people have a problem with Jermell Charlo calling him out? I don't see the problem with that. I know he has a mandatory in Tszyu. I know he's been injured. But let's not act like this guy is not undisputed and he's defended his he is undisputed. He's been unified for a while. All right. And the two rematches that he's had, he went on to stop the opponent that either beat him or arguably beat him in his fights. He's done a lot. So there's nothing that we need to question Jermell Charlo about. If you're at 154, if you're even at 147, because Errol Spence has done it, if you are at any division that's anywhere near Canelo Alvarez and you feel like you want to call him out for a fight, do it. Do it. It wasn't a problem when Manny Pacquiao was still active and Spence and Bud were both calling him out while everyone wanted them to face each other. There's no problem with it. There's no problem when Floyd was still around and everybody was waiting around to see who he would pick next before they would pick they schedule their next fight. That's what happens when you're the face of boxing. So if you're at 147 or at cruiserweight and you want to call out Canelo Alvarez, do it. I have no problem. That doesn't mean you're going to get the fight, because only one person is going to get the next fight, whoever that is. But I have no problems with fighters calling out Canelo Alvarez. If Jermell Charlo has an opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez at some kind of catch weight or something like that, he's going to take that opportunity over Tszyu. Let's be real. Do you want him to stick around and fight Tszyu over Canelo Alvarez? Absolutely not. Anybody's going to take that opportunity. Let's be real. Now, Tszyu is a draw in Australia, and I'm sure Jermell will make a lot of money if he goes out there to fight him. But at the end of the day, if you have an opportunity, and that goes for anyone from those divisions, if they have an opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez, they're going to stop whatever they got planned on doing and fight Canelo Alvarez, because he is the face of boxing. And that goes for Tank or Ryan Garcia. Anybody from 147, from 130 that have an opportunity to fight Ryan Garcia or Tank Davis, they're going to stop what they're doing and take that fight in a heartbeat. So I have no problem with Jermell Charlo. It doesn't matter if he was drunk in the interview. I don't care about that. He wants to call out Canelo, whatever. They used to fight in the same damn division. Who cares? They can fight. They're both undisputed. It's not like Jermell is not proven. Yes, Canelo is bigger than him. He's been beating better guys or bigger guys. Let me say big. I don't want to say better, but he's been fighting bigger guys for the last whatever amount of years. So I understand that. But Jermell right now he's a top tier fighter. He's one of the best fighters in the world. He's in my pound for pound list, and he's worked hard to get undisputed, unlike people that just won it or became champions and unified overnight. He's done it better than a lot of other fighters. So in my opinion, I have no problem with that. Now, as far as Tszyu and Jermell and Tszyu in that fight, Jermell needs to focus on Tszyu as it comes to 154. Yes, he does need to focus on Tszyu. Okay, Canelo's not gonna fight him, but if he did, cool. But when it comes to him defending his title, he gotta understand that Tszyu is no easier than Castano was or Tony Harrison was. He needs to treat this fight as it's another tough challenge like any other fight that he's had recently. Okay, because Tszyu is coming. This guy is giving phenomenal interviews. He's clearly focused on the assignment. He's not playing games. All right? The moment that Jermell became injured, he went into a fight and fought a voluntary fight against Tony Harrison, the only guy that's beaten Jermell Charlo. He took that fight voluntarily, all right, and beat him better than anybody else has beaten him before. Clear. He didn't have to take that fight. He chose to take that fight. And he did it better. Now, if you guys want to debate whether Tony's in or out of his prime, we could start that conversation right now after the fight. Maybe, but it doesn't even matter at this point. All I know is that version of Tszyu was the best version of Tszyu I ever seen. And it took that kind of opponent to bring it out of him. Whatever we thought, him getting dropped in previous fights early and all that, it's out the window. Because when he fought Tony, he showed up. And now he's going to be fighting Ocampo, Carlos Ocampo, in his very next fight in a month. While Jermell is still sitting out and active. It's been a year since he's been in the ring. And by the time he fights Tszyu, if Tszyu is going to be his next opponent, it will be well over a year. I don't see that fight happening any earlier than September, being that Tszyu is going to fight in June. And if he beats Carlos Ocampo in his next fight, he's going to have 2 fights in since Jermell has been out against good opponents. I know Ocampo has lost to Errol Spence. He would stop out Errol Spence. He went on to beat 12 other guys since then. The guy was 22 when he lost against Spence. That was 5 years ago. I saw him against Fundora, and even though he lost that fight, it was still a good performance. The guy is tough. He's not an easy fight. I heard Tszyu saying that he's preparing a fight in a physical fight, not a strategic fight, but a physical fight, because Ocampo is no pushover. He's not at 147 fighting spits. He's bigger. He has more experience. All right. And he's fighting at the division he should be fighting at. And it's not going to be an easy fight for Tszyu. He's going to have to prepare to go to war with this guy. Because this guy's not an easy fighter. So I like his focus. And I'm just saying, I'm obviously rooting for Jermell because that's my guy. But Jermell needs to focus. And it's going to be tough to come off inactivity to go straight into that fight against a guy that's clearly focused and improving still. You know what I mean? So I like Tszyu. I'm a fan of him. I think like what he's doing is doing, like, he's not playing around, man. He knows exactly what needs to get done. He's giving respect to everyone he's fought, including Jermell. But Jermell needs to be on point, because if this is his next opponent, he needs to be at his very best, just like he was in the what's it called, the Castano rematch. All right, he needs to be at his absolute best. That was the best I've seen him, the rematch in Castano. So the last time I seen Jermell was the best version of Jermell I've ever seen throughout his career. I've been watching him his damn near his whole career, you know. And since he was over there fighting on Fox Sports 1 with Golden Boy, I've seen the ups and downs throughout his career. And that last fight, that was his best performance by far. But he's also going to be fighting one of those ones that's going to be just as tough, if not tougher, than Tony was and, Brian Castano was. So he needs to be geared up for that one. All right. But I don't have no problem with the Canelo call out. I mean, if you're calling out him in hopes to get that fight, you're going to get paid a lot fighting Canelo, and it'll be a great opportunity for anyone that gets in the ring. That includes anyone at 160, 168, 175, or even up at cruiserweight. I don't see a problem with it. They all got work to do. They all got stuff to do. All of them. Anyone at 160 got work to do. You know what I mean? Anyone at 160 had work to do. 168 had work to do. Guys at 175 got things that we want to see them do. We want Bivol and Better BF. But if there's an opportunity to fight Canelo, I mean, Bivol already got it. But if Better BF gives the opportunity to fight Canelo, you think he's going to turn that down? No, he's going to take the opportunity. He's going to jump on it. So that's my views on that, man. Jermell needs to get it going, man. Hopefully he can get healthy soon and get back in the ring, because I'm looking forward to seeing him and fighting Tszyu. I tell you one thing. Before I was very, very confident in Jermell and winning that fight. Very confident. But now I see it as a 50-50 fight. Simply, especially because of the fact that he's coming off of an injury and he's coming off inactivity against a guy that seems to be improving with every fight. I'm very, very, very 50-50. I'm probably still leaning towards Jermell, but I'm very 50-50 with that one. And I can't wait to do the breakdown whenever that comes. All right. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.